Today's gospel story completes the third passion prediction story of Jesus. Story not only portrays Jesus' journey from Caesarea Philippi to his final destination in Jerusalem, but also speaking of our own faith story that we ourselves can relate as followers of the way. We heard stories in the past weeks that are filled with misunderstandings, filled with provocations, reversals, and even ambitions. These stories, discomforting as it may seem, revealed the truest sense of Jesus' life, ministry, and the kingdom. We look back on the three passion prediction stories. Caesarea Philippi, who do people say that I am? How Jesus would reprimand Peter. The second prediction story, and when they were asking among themselves who is the greatest, and Jesus would tell them, if you want to be great, you have to become like a little child. This week's gospel, James and John, seeking for the place of honor. Obviously, apostles do not understand what Jesus was talking about. As we approach the end of our liturgical calendar year, the need to examine our commitment to our baptismal promises and discipleship deepens. The concept and the theology of the suffering servant is being reintroduced to us. In the first reading, it portrays a suffering servant of God who is partially conveyed for the purpose of allowing the faithful to understand that the call to suffering is not only applied to sinners and the unjust as a punishment for their iniquities, but also a trademark story of the religious and the righteous people in the lives of the prophets, both in the Old and in the New Testament. In the second reading for today, we have an image of a high priest exalted after shedding his own blood for the atonement of our sin is also portrayed. How does this portrayal of the suffering servant and the image of the high priest becomes a significant story to our faith journey? When the suffering servant offers himself as a sin offering, he endures his agony so others can be justified and perhaps benefits from his fruits. His suffering and death becomes the cause of others' redemption and blessings. This is very obvious in the lives of parents, for instance. A parent's sacrifice for their children benefits the entire family. When reconciliation is accomplished through an atonement of sin and sacrifice for the sake of the others, grace and blessings becomes available to everyone. On the 29th Sunday in Ordinary Time, Jesus is portrayed as a suffering servant and also the high priest for the redemption and the blessings of mankind. What inspires me to follow Jesus is not the reward of eternal provisions. I know He can provide things for us. But what is transforming is the never-ending understanding of His sacrificial love manifested in His life, in His suffering, death, and even resurrection. The question is, how does Jesus inspire you to listen and follow Him?